All right, people, how are we doing this weekend? Another great weekend, another great day for Clemson football. We got a big game coming up, NC State. Got a great game coming up against NC State, and kind of want to take a look at that right off the bat. I know I didn't make a video this week, but just got busy and stuff. So let's tune into that right now. So, I mean, if we just look at the stats from last week's game, we have, DJ, pretty solid performance there. But then, Will, Phil, Kobe, I'm still not entirely sure what happened to Kobe Pace. I think he's out for the season, if I'm not mistaken. They may not have released it. It may just be a knee injury that he's got to wait out, but... You see, he had a nasty little non-contact knee injury there, where he was kind of trying to plant and go up the field, and it just did not look good for him. So I wish him the best. But who's really caught on recently? Jake's been looking good. He looked good in spring ball. He looked good. He balled out in the spring game. And then, kind of a little starter. Davis Allen's the main guy. He's the main guy in that tight end room. He's going to get the majority of the looks. But, Jake really shined in that game. I mean, 6 targets, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, that 1 touchdown, he did jump up there and get, and that was great. I mean, if you could do that every game, that would be phenomenal. And then Bo Collins. I will say about Bo, though, is that he looked a little sluggish. I don't know what was up. I don't know if he was still kind of banged up. I think he tweaked his hamstring the week before, so I don't know if he's still a little sluggish. What's the deal with that? But he looked a little sluggish. But still, a respectable 60 yards, 1 touchdown. But this is what we need from our receiver room. We need guys that are putting up 50-plus yards. Antonio Williams has been looking like a stud. I mean, he's a freshman who came in here. He made Dakari Collins transfer out. He's given, Spector a run for his money in the slot. There's no reason not to see him. And then, we're going to continue to work back Adam Randall. As, he's slowly getting more and more reps. We got to take it with a grain of salt, too. He's only 6 months back from an ACL injury. So that's by no means a full recovery period. So, in my opinion, I feel like they kind of rushed him back. But, I don't know. They did the same thing with Amari Rodgers a couple of years ago. Amari now plays for the Packers. But they did the same thing a couple of years ago with him, where I feel like they just pushed him in there. So, I don't really know what the deal with that is. But... he's getting more reps. He's looking good. EJ, I feel like EJ's capable of more. I mean, we only targeted him maybe twice, but that's just kind of due to the talent that's been infused into the receiver room now. With, you got Bo, you got Antonio, you got Spector back, and then you got Bringenstool, sophomore year. He's really coming into his own, which is great for him. I'm happy for him. But DJ had a very solid game. But who also had a really solid game? Trenton Simpson. I love Trenton. I'm going to miss the young man. He said that he's, leaving after this season, basically. He didn't officially come out and say he's leaving, but I think in an interview, he basically told his mom, hey, this is the last year you're going to have to work your job, which, he should. He's a predicted first-round pick. Trenton, Brian, and Miles will all be going in the first round of the NFL draft, as long as they all stay healthy, all stay relatively productive. Miles has had a bit of a down year. The 5 tackles, 2 solos, and a half sack. That's good. But I think teams are keying on him a lot more on the outside. He's seeing a lot more running back help, a lot more chips from the tight end. He's not catching anybody off guard anymore, kind of like he did last year, where he kind of burst onto the scene, and people were a little surprised by him. But, our secondary, there's no way around it. Our secondary got cooked. They got absolutely cooked against NC State. But it is what it is. We'll get some guys back. Andrew's going to continue to get healthier. Nate, sophomore Nate. Yes, he made a big play at the end of the game. He made a big play. Don't get me wrong. Very solid play at the end. But at the same time, I kind of need some more from him. You can't get burned he was letting up something crazy. Some crazy statistic. Every time the quarterback threw the ball his way, they were averaging 6-7 yards, which is that's not good for a cornerback. But once again, he's got more experience. He's got some good game film now. And also, we maybe need to reassess our defense too. New defensive coordinator and a good win there. Maybe secondary is a little bit of a gap in his knowledge. Maybe we need, I mean, Dabo played wide receiver, but maybe somebody else on the defensive staff needs to kind of come on and kind of be more hands-on with the secondary unit, kind of give some help, some schematic help, because we're still having the same issues we had against Georgia Tech. We're just trading guys off. I mean, simple, just, we got one high or two high safeties that are sitting up top, and the cornerbacks and safeties just aren't communicating when to trade guys off. When, hey, the cornerback's got to come down and get the guy that's coming underneath. The safety's got to take that guy that's going long. And there's just miscommunications. I mean, it happened at Georgia Tech. It happened against Furman. It happened against Louisiana Tech. And now, it happened against Wake Forest. Now, the bright side is I don't think NC State's passing attack is going to be nearly as good as Wake Forest is by any means. Just because, I know Leary's he's a fifth-year quarterback, I believe, but he's not Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman's one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, and, rightfully so. He owed all his respect. But kind of swing it back around. We got Leary. You got some talent around him. The line's not as good as it was last season for him. I mean, we got none other than, I forget the young man's name, but he was drafted first round by the Panthers, grew up in Charlotte, went to Providence Day, drafted first round by the Charlotte. It's a little bit of a homecoming story for him. But, he's no longer playing left tackle for NC State. Their star receiver, he moved on to the next phase of his career. So they have a lot of guys that, new faces compared to last season. But flip side of that, their defense is going to be better than Wake Forest. So kind of a double-edged sword. Their offense is going to be worse than Wake Forest, so awesome. But their defense is going to be better than Wake Forest, which is not the worst for us. Because honestly, offense right now is the strength of our team. I was surprised by that. If you would have told me, back in June or July, if you would have told me that our offense is as bad as it is right now, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, that seems a little iffy, but hey, who am I to kind of judge or be able to accurately predict theirs? I'm not in there I'm not in with the guys every day. I'm not in there watching film, creating the schemes. So obviously, Brand Streeter was able to kind of get it together, get the offense rolling, and then Wes, he's got some work to do. I mean, the front seven's solid. They're not going to be able to run the ball in that front seven. Front seven is very solid. It's just the secondary is just getting eaten alive. And I don't know what the solution for it is. I mean, play more zone, less zone, more man. I mean, we play man. Our guys are just getting beaten. Like, there's no way around it. Just form, just getting beaten. There's no reason they can't. No, by no means are the cornerbacks, safeties on Clemson any less athletically capable or any less capable of performing at a high level than anybody we play against. I mean, even in the future, if we make it into the playoffs, whether we play, Alabama, Georgia, anybody, our secondary guys are no less athletically capable than anybody they have on their team that they're going to go up against. It's just the scheme and technical skills that they just kind of need to refine and get better, sharpen a little bit more. And there's a lot of young guys on there. Nate's a sophomore. We got, Jaden Lucas saw some playing time. He's a freshman. Pride Jr., a lot of playing time, very talented young freshman, but he's making freshman mistakes, which it happens with these guys. It happens. So as they continue to get more tape against better competition, like last week, they're going to be able to kind of self-assess themselves, self-scout themselves as to, hey, this is what I did bad on, and this is what NC State's going to come after me with. So it could be a lights-out performance, depending how the film session goes. But that kind of what it comes down to is just the self-assessment and how the film goes. But, I mean, so we got the game tomorrow. The weather's looking pretty good. That Ian, the hurricane, seems to be more towards the coast in Charleston, so not going to be a torrential downpour, not going to be, the 20-mile-per-hour winds, the 5+ inches of rain that they were saying might be coming the way of Clemson, so it should be much better. But, I mean, Clemson's still a heavy favorite, 83% favorite, 16% there. But, at the end of the day, this match predictor doesn't mean anything until you go out there and actually play the game. That's all that matters. But, hey, it's an exciting matchup. Number 5 Clemson, number 10 Clemson. And they got game day there. And who else would be the guest picker than Clemson's favorite child, since we can't claim Deshaun Watson anymore after everything? Who else than Christian Wilkins can come back to Clemson and be the guest picker? And that's exciting for him. That's awesome for him. Maybe Dabo will tell him to stop with the This isn't the first time he's doing it, but maybe Dabo will tell Christian it's time to it's time to stop doing that, Christian. All right, it was funny when he did it against Ohio State. But this is you've been in the league for a couple years. It's time to it's time to find something new. Okay, let's just move on. But hey, I still got mad love for Christian. I'm pumped for him. I think he's gonna excel there. He speaks very well. Very, high character guy, big energy. Look at that smile. He's going to kill it on game day. I can't wait to see him and Pat McAfee together there. They're going to be phenomenal there. Absolutely they're going to kill it. But they were thinking of moving game day down from, Bowman Field into Little John, but they're just kind of rolling with it right there. So, should be pretty cool. Now, we'll see what happens. The last time they were at Clemson, everybody booed Lee Corso when he picked Clemson to beat Louisville, because last time he was at Clemson and picked Clemson, we lost. So will there be booing? I highly doubt it, because these young kids probably don't remember it. They honestly, I highly doubt they remember it. I mean, there's no way, they probably don't remember. Because, you got all the kids doing the stupid little, the claws. I'm happy they stopped the claws out. If anybody here that watches this wants to do the little claws out there in Clemson, don't. Just don't. Don't be those kids from, just don't do it, all right? The alumni hate it. The old alumni hate it. The young alumni hate it. I could get more descriptive with the dislike amongst the alumni base, but just don't do it. Just don't do it. But yeah, game day should be super exciting. Huge game. Alabama's got a robot. That's kind of cool to paint the field. That's kind of cool. But at the same time, though, who doesn't like an old-fashioned groundskeeper? I don't know about that one. But back to the stats. So we got Clemson at a 7-point favorite, which is surprising, as we were 7.5 at Wake, so pretty comparable, pretty similar. And I don't know which way I'd go. I think I'd probably take. I'll take Clemson to cover. I want to say, it's going to be a close game, but it's hard to win in Death Valley, especially at night when that stadium's absolutely rocking. And I just don't quite know if, they have the receiving stats the receivers to keep up with Clemson. Because, the running back here, 39 carries, 252 yards, that's good. Those are good numbers. But, you got Shipley with 300, it's almost 100 yards more and more touchdowns. But, they've very much gone through Leary here. He's their veteran pocket passer. He's been that guy, and he's struggled some. We all think about that ECU game. NC State struggled against ECU. So that, it's unfortunate that it happened, but there's some gaps. There's some time to go back to that film and say, hey, let's assess what ECU did well. And there's other teams too. Hasn't like NC State's been just blowing teams out of the water. It's very much they're very much a hype team where they had the big win against Clemson last season. They got the quarterback coming back. Everybody's like, this is their year. And there's also a lot of talent. That linebacking core for NC State is solid, very solid. They got Sunday talent in that linebacking core. So everybody's just kind of looking at that team saying they have all the pieces there. On paper, they can go with anybody in the country. It's just they need to go onto the field and perform. And this is an excellent opportunity for NC State to step up to bat and be, hey, it's time to go, baby. It's time to go. But UConn, all right, they took care of it. This is UConn. UConn's probably the worst program in FBS, to be honest with you. But, they beat Texas Tech. That's a respectable win. Big 12 team, Power 5 team, very respectable. And, they blew, I forget who this is, but they blew them out. But that ECU, that was a close game. Now that's what's in everybody's mind is this is their first. This is the last time they were away. ECU, very close game, and they take care of business at home. They've been taking care of business, so it'll be quite interesting. Almost a trial by fire a little bit for NC State. I'm happy we were able to get Wake in there, kind of get the jitters out. We have a lot of young guys. It takes them getting hit once, or getting that big game atmosphere once for them to kind of settle down for the season. So I think I'd take Clemson to cover. That'd be my prediction. Now I want to take a look at who the Apex Predators of the week are for us. So right off the bat, one hasn't changed, Alabama. I don't care. People will claim Georgia, but it's not like Georgia's been blowing people out either. I mean, people will point the finger at Alabama and say Alabama barely won. They barely beat Texas without Quinn Ewers. I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, let's look at Georgia's, last game against Kent State. They were at home. They didn't blow Kent State out. I mean, they didn't blow them out. If you want to beat the man, you got to beat the man consistently. Yes, they beat them once. They beat them once last year, but missing their receivers. They have a bunch of young receivers. Give them time. Alabama's going to bounce back, and just like every other year, they're going to be in the conversation at the end of the season. So, you know what? Number one, they're the top dog. Number two, Georgia. You know what? Once again, defending national champions, hard to beat, very talented team, and everybody's calling them the new quotations premier place to go. It's the cool place to go for the kids compared to old Nick Saban's. They got the cool coach and the young Kirby Smart. I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure about that one. Number three, Michigan. Michigan's look solid. J.J. McCarthy playing the quarterback position has absolutely ignited that offense. Absolutely just ignited it, and they're balling out. Then we go down to number four. We got Ohio State. C.J. Stroud, very talented receiver core. Jackson Smith-Njigba, still banged up. They're holding him out. They want him for the meat of their season, which is that kind of the middle to last half, just based off their schedule. Then number five, Clemson. Clemson's got room to move up. They got room to move up. I would slide if those first four teams all win and Clemson beats NC State in a very a solid fashion. I would probably move Clemson ahead of Ohio State next week. But hey, we'll see what happens. Number six, Kentucky. I would not want to play Kentucky. I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. Not Bob Stoops, that's Oklahoma, but Coach Stoops is building a solid program there. He's got another solid team this year, and nobody in the SEC wants to play Kentucky. Nobody does. Then number seven, Oklahoma State. Rock with the mullet. They got the veteran quarterback. They're showing out. Number eight, I got Florida State sliding back in. Turns out that, Travis's injury, the quarterback, Jordan Travis, the quarterback, his injury, not major like it was initially indicated. It seemed like originally against that game against Louisville that it could have been a long-term injury for him, but yeah, he went out there, he balled out against Boston College. That defense showed out, and they have some talent. They have some very real talent, and they are very much in contention to win the ACC. It's really going to come down to that game where Clemson has to go down to Tallahassee to play Florida State. That's what it really comes down to. The number nine, USC. Unfortunately for USC, you can't lose. And I know they won, but you're playing Oregon State. Oregon State's not winning the Pac-12. Oregon State's not vying for national contention. I mean, Oregon State is just, it's not really a powerhouse program. They're not ranked. Is it a hard place to play? Yes. But there's a lot of hard places to play in the Pac-12. I mean, you can say Stanford's hard. Coach Shaw has a very solid program there. He's a veteran coach, and he puts on solid performances week in and week out. But you can't struggle like that. I mean, it took Jordan Addison, a last-second touchdown, and the team just didn't show up. There's no way around it. They just didn't look motivated. I don't know what it was, but I don't know if it's either they just weren't motivated enough or maybe they're not as good as I think they are. I'm not quite sure. I would have thought they would have blown Oregon State out. They have the firepower they have on offense. They should be dropping 40 a game like this. I mean, they should be 30 by halftime. They have too much offensive firepower. They have a young, offensive-minded, very talented head coach in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin? That's Ole Miss. Lincoln Riley. Lane's a good coach too. I like Lane, but it's Lincoln Riley. I don't know why I said Lane, but no, Lincoln Riley, very talented coach there, and he's gonna kind of get them going. I think he's gonna really light a fire under them, and they're gonna show out for the rest of the season. So they got room to grow. And number 10. Minnesota. Ski you. Minnesota has been balling out, and everybody's sleeping on them. I like their coach. PJ Fleck is a guy. He's got an interesting workout method where he basically tells his guys that, he tells the training staff, if they got their hands on their hip, they're bent over, pull them out of the drill. they're not in good enough condition to do this drill then. Pull them out. If they got their hands on their hips or they're like hands on the knees bent over, pull them out. They're not in good enough condition to do the drill, so let's condition them on the side. And, that's a very old school, hard coaching style, but it seems to work. It has worked for Minnesota. Minnesota has looked very good. And don't look now, but Minnesota could go undefeated into the Big Ten championship. Or if not undefeated, they should be 11-1. They should be. But based on their schedule, they should be undefeated. I mean, all right, handle business there, handle business there, handle business there. They basically went to Michigan State and just said, oh, you really wanted to give your coach that new contract? You realize he only had one good year, right? And they absolutely just beat them down. Mel Tucker, man. I wonder if Michigan State's having second thoughts about that huge contract they just gave Mel Tucker. It was a little premature. He had one good season under his belt. There's no need to just, throw all this money at him. Let him prove himself a second year. And if you end up paying a little bit more, you pay a little bit more. But you avoid the situation that Michigan State's in right now where they don't look very good. And they just gave him a lot of money. And makes you wonder, was it Kenneth Walker III, who's now playing in the NFL on Sundays, that was really carrying the team? And he was. He was a Heisman candidate running back. So I don't know. Just it's food for thought. But I mean, Purdue, they should be able to handle against Purdue. Illinois should beat Illinois. Penn State's going to be tough. They're going to Happy Valley, and that's a tough place to play. Rutgers, they should take care of business. Nebraska's how far has Nebraska fallen since joining the Big Ten? They went from, Ndamukong Suh playing Colt McCoy in the Big 12 championship to... It's looking rough now. Not a Big 12 champ, but you remember, they beat Colt McCoy. It was their whole deal. Then Northwestern. Northwestern is making a mistake. They do not need to be building this. I mean, they're about to put $800 million into their football stadium. $800 million? I mean, like what? I mean, it's a good size. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're only building it to be about 3,500 seats, which that's a good size. That's what more college programs need to realize that you cough UCLA, that hey, 35,000. That's a good seat number for us. We should do that. There's no need to build an 80,000 seat stadium where it'd be 1/3 of the way full. No need for that. But just Northwestern, I don't know if this is the best use of money. I mean, $800 million on this, especially with the Bears, just going out and building their new stadium. Could they not have, figured something out? But at the same time, they put a lot of money into it because they have that new training facility that they built in Lake Michigan. Was it 2017 that opened? I mean, so they have the new training facility out there on Lake Michigan. Beautiful view, by the way, absolutely pristine, gorgeous view, gorgeous facility. And now they're building this. So I don't know if they're trying to put more money into the football program, make it better, or what the end goal is. It could be an investment by the university too. They could see how much money's in college football and they could decide, maybe we need to get on board with that. So could very well be the case. Then Iowa, it's at home. If it was at Iowa, it'd be difficult, but it's at home, so they should be able to take care of business there. Then the big game against Wisconsin. That's going to be a tough one. Wisconsin's always a tough team to play, especially going to Madison. Tough place to play. They got that Allen kid at running back number 0. That dude's absolutely jacked. He is jacked to a T. And also, it's just a difficult place to play. A well-coached team. A lot of good players go there. Solid linebacking group year in, year out. Difficult to play, but they could very well, realistically, all right, let's say they have, between Penn State and Wisconsin, they have a 50-50 shot at winning both of those or losing one of those. So they lose one. They should very well go into the Big Ten championship game, a one-loss team, that'd be great. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Michigan or Ohio State. So, I mean, they'll end up playing in the Rose Bowl, but that's still exciting for that program. That's exciting for that fan base. I mean, kind of throw back to 2019 when they had that great team there. They had those very talented receivers with them, and it's just exciting for them. I'm happy for that fan base. So with the Apex Predators, very much top 5 hasn't really changed, but the bottom half, it's changing week by week. It's changing week by week. Some people are gonna point their fingers and say, hey, maybe I should put this in, that in, but hey, it is what it is. We're gonna keep on rolling with it. Now to who's up and who's down. Up, like I said, we got Minnesota on the up. I like PJ Fleck. I think he's a cool guy. Ski-U, man, the whole row the boat thing that he brought with him from Western Michigan. It's good. It's good. And then Kansas. I think that Kansas, they've got a real shot to win the Big 12, and their quarterback, he's my lead candidate for the Heisman. He's my lead candidate for the Heisman right now. I mean, Jalen Daniels, he's been balling out. If I had to pick one guy to give the Heisman right now, it would be Jalen Daniels. He's made the biggest impact in college football. He's doubled the wins from Kansas. Kansas only won 2 games last year. They've got 4 wins already. And there's no reason they shouldn't be able to take care of business this week again. This young man's just making it happen with his arm, with his feet, doing the play action. He's just making it happen, and it looks great. There's no way around it. He looks great. And I think something just clicked. I'm not quite sure what it was, because he's a junior, I believe. So maybe it was just kind of like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow just clicked and he just had it. Lamar Jackson just clicked one day and he just showed up in that 2016 season and balled out. Maybe this is his year. He just upperclassman now, just balling out. So I would give him the Heisman Trophy right now. I mean, Kansas. If Kansas can make a run, pristine. They'd be pristine. And why is the AP coaches poll so scared to rank Kansas? Why? Are they? I mean, the cowards are scared to rank Kansas, and I have no idea why. I mean, past 2 weeks, they had the big win against Houston. They had the big win against Duke. And consistently, they're that first team out of the top 25. Rank Kansas. There's only been 2 programs, 2 schools that have not lost a men's football or men's basketball game in the past, we'll call it since March of last year. And those 2 schools, Kansas and Oklahoma State. That's pretty good for the Big 12. Well, this young man's doing well. He's doing quite well. So Kansas and Minnesota, I'd be buying stock in them right now. On the down, we got, it pains me to say it, but Oklahoma. Brent I don't know what happened. Just kind of, it slipped. That last game, that game against Kansas State, it just got away from that. Defense did not look solid. Maybe they need to play Jaron Knack more. I'm not quite sure, but that defense just did not hold up, and the offense didn't put up enough points at the end of the day. They just didn't put up enough points. But I'd put that more on the defense, because Kansas State was just getting everything they wanted. They wanted to throw the ball, run the ball. Kansas State they were with it. So, Oklahoma back to the drawing board. Kind of, once again, they got some good film. They can self-scout, self-assess themselves, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. And they can go out, take care of business, hopefully. Then USC, like I said, even though USC didn't lose, they kind of played down to their competition's level. And that's not what you want to see from a top-end team. You don't want to see them play down to their competition. But it's iffy. I don't know. I don't know about USC. It's so hit or miss. So hit or miss. But at the same time, we'll see. And and also at my weekly segment of Jackson State love, we're gonna take a look at their excellent drum majors. This is what makes some HBCUs like Jackson State and their bands just phenomenal. Jackson State's band, Tennessee State, South Carolina State. I love the Tiger band playing Tiger, all the fight songs for Clemson. You know them all. Alma mater, I love it, but you can't match this energy. It's just the student base and just kind of the culture the band program has. You just can't match this energy. Because, this would be dope to have on the sideline for Clemson. I would be thrilled. I would be thrilled about that. But then let's take a look at the AP Top 25. Kind of just, let's see here. All right. So, I mean, BYU took care of business last night, which was expected against Utah State. Utah State, they are down here. I don't know. They had a solid finish to the year last year, and they're just a little bit on the downswing right now. But then Washington at UCLA. UCLA is undefeated. So you got a 4-0 UCLA team playing Washington. I'd take Washington. I don't know if UCLA just has it. They've had a soft schedule to start the season, but we'll see what happens. Georgia at Mizzou. Take Georgia. I mean, that gut-wrenching loss for Missouri. I mean, it was gut-wrenching. At the quarterback, excuse the misspellings. It is what it is. I'm not quite sure why I can't find it. I don't know. But last week, they missed the field goal. Quarterback thought they had it. He thought he knocked down as he couldn't quite see, so he was pumping his fist in the air. Then he realized they missed it. Gut-wrenching, but we're taking Georgia. The Alabama-Arkansas is tricky. There's a lot of kids that were at Alabama that transferred to Arkansas now. So there's a couple kids on that roster for Arkansas that came from Alabama. They know the scheme, know the system, and also, they're highly motivated for that game. But I would still take Alabama. I think Alabama's got probably the two guys that are going to go number 1, number 2 this year in the NFL draft, and Bryce Young and Will Anderson. And it's hard to beat a team when they've got the top 2 overall draft picks. Something similar to when Ohio State had Joey Bosa and Ezekiel Elliott on that team. Yes, I know that the junior season for Bosa and Ezekiel it was unfortunate. They just weren't running Zeke enough. I don't really know what the deal was, but hey, it's hard to beat Alabama when they got the 2 top guys in the NFL draft boards for every single team. Any NFL team would love to have Bryce Young. Any NFL team would love to have Will Anderson. Will Anderson's a special player. He's a special player. Even if you need a quarterback this year in the NFL draft, I'd take Will Anderson. Ohio State, Rutgers. This could be close. Rutgers is not a bad program by any means. And Ohio State hasn't been, they've been taking care of business. They've been winning handily, but it could be one of those games where it's close until the fourth quarter, then Ohio State pulls away. Michigan at Iowa, I take care of Michigan. If they were going with, McNamara at quarterback again, I'd say this is going to be a close game because I love the young man. He's a little one-dimensional compared to the current starter. But now they got J.J. McCarthy in there. Multi-dimensional. He can run it. He can throw it. He can do anything you want in the modern-day mobile quarterback. So I think Michigan and their offense is just going to take care of business. Because Iowa's offense, it's not great. It's not great. Clemson at NC State, you already know we're taking Clemson. No ifs or buts. We are taking Clemson. Go Tigers, baby. USC at Arizona State, we're taking USC. Arizona State's a mess. I don't know what happened to that program. Two years ago, that program had so much momentum, so much going for it. And just, I don't know, the wheels fell off the train. I don't know how else to describe the Arizona State program. It just fell apart. Kentucky at Ole Miss, people are sleeping. This could be a very good game. The issue is Ole Miss hasn't played anybody. So I would take Kentucky in the over. Whatever the over is, take Kentucky. Ole Miss they haven't played anybody good. They're very much going off their reputation. Matt Corral is not there anymore. Yes, they have Jackson Dart. I get that. But I just wouldn't take them. Oklahoma State at Baylor. Baylor not looking as good as everybody thought they would. I was surprised. I was caught off guard by that loss to BYU. So we're going to Oklahoma State. Penn State versus Northwestern. We got to go Penn State. No way around it. Penn State is going to go in there, take care of business against Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald, great guy, great coach. I love how he stayed true to that program. He's tried to turn them around, turn them into, a year in and year out contender in the Big Ten. And, like I said, they just had the new $800 million stadium being built. But we're taking Penn State. Utah, Oregon State, got to go Utah. Utah does not get the respect they deserve. They are a premier team in the Pac-12. And then Oregon, Stanford. Oregon maybe is better than I thought. I was hating on I was hating on Oregon early in the season. Absolutely, just hating on them. But they've kind of turned things around, making things happen after that loss to Georgia. So they're getting better. They're getting there. They're getting there. Then Texas A&M at Mississippi State. It's interesting because I picked Texas A&M to lose the past 2 weeks. I picked them to lose to Arkansas. I picked them to lose Miami. They've won both those. But we're taking Mississippi State. We're not staying off this train. Texas A&M is going to lose to Mississippi State. And also, Texas A&M, they need to either cancel the Midnight Yell. They need to find a new yell leaders. Whoever they got doing the Midnight Yell for them right now, the dude is cringy. He's fine. This guy right here. He's fine. This guy right here. He's fine. This guy. Yeah, this guy is just. I don't know. I don't know about that. But anyways, so we got Pitt versus Georgia Tech. We're taking Pitt. Oh, excuse me, I missed Wake Forest, Florida State. We're taking Florida State. We're taking Minnesota. I missed a lot. And we're taking Oklahoma. But then Kansas State versus Texas Tech. This is a doozy one. Kansas State's gotten a lot of hype based off beating Oklahoma. I don't quite know if they deserve that hype. I'm not quite sure. Could it just be one of those things where they beat a team that everybody thought was supposed to be top 10? That hype? But I'm not quite sure. But, top 25. It's looking pretty solid. My only real thing is rank Kansas. Stop being a coward and rank Kansas. But look at Cincinnati and Florida clawing their way back in there. They were clawing their way back in. If James Madison could get ranked too, I wouldn't mind that. They got a veteran quarterback, took care of business against App State. Poor App State, man. It's been a roller coaster for them this season. Just highs and then the low of last week. It just came crashing down. And it was bound to happen. They were winning by the skin of their teeth in a lot of those games. There was a lot of hype around the program. So eventually it was gonna fall apart. I just didn't quite know when. I was expecting them to beat James Madison. Everybody knows James Madison, very solid football program, moved up, get a good sixth-year quarterback. He's been a stud this season. So you knew that. I thought they were going to be more hyped, more excited for it, and it just didn't quite work out. But it is what it is. On to next week. But I'm pumped for College Game Day. College Game Day coming to Clemson. I've been fortunate enough to have the experience 3 times at College Game Day. When they were at Clemson for Louisville, saw them when was Clemson Wake Forest in 2018. Excuse me, not Wake Forest. When it was Clemson at Virginia Tech in 2018. And also when they were in New Orleans for the national championship game, saw that with Pat McAfee on the show. That was great. But Clemson fans love game day. Especially with how crowded the student body is right now, I fully expect that they're gonna show out in force for game day. I think it's gonna be quite good, and hopefully they come up with some creative signs. We'll see if they get some creative signs in there. That'd be quite nice. I'm interested to see what people think of Christian Wilkins. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about with Christian Wilkins. The whole Christian, you gotta stop doing that, man. You gotta stop doing that. It's funny that's everybody's. Yeah, pretty much. And that's kind of what I came to the comment section of this post for. Is that right there? But I mean, I'm pumped for it. I think Kirk Herbstreit is kind of excited too because he's got a son that's a wide receiver. I forget he's a wide receiver cornerback because one of his sons left to go to Ohio State, but the other is still at Clemson. But he's either way, he's got a son at Clemson. I think he'll be excited for it, and we'll see what happens with that. The one thing that I'm interested to see about, though, is now that the whole discussion that everybody's coming up with again is the whole cupcake schedule. The whole... Let me pull this up. The whole cupcake, the first, 4, sometimes 5 weeks of the season. Mainly 4. Mainly the first 4 weeks. Not the most... interesting college football games consistently for every team. There are some very interesting games, but across the board, you got 1 week Alabama's playing in somebody that probably shouldn't. Next week, you got Clemson playing somebody that they probably shouldn't. Just give them a preseason. Give them a preseason and let them do their thing. But hey, I like seeing Drake May get some love, though. North Carolina, I don't know why they're not good, but Drake May has been balling out. And people have been sleeping on this sophomore. He's been absolutely balling out. And we saw that. TCU's new helmets look pretty dope also. I will admit, TCU helmets looking pretty solid. Going with the all-black. Everybody wants to copy the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, they had an all-black helmet, and now all of a sudden every NFL team's got a black alternate helmet and whatnot. But did anybody see the Bengals uniforms? I mean, look at these uniforms they were wearing last night, man. Those white helmets for the Bengals. It's a hard one, but that might be my favorite uniform in the NFL. Is that all white Bengals look? It looked pretty clean. But hey, Tua, get well, Tua. I hope you go to an independent doctor now and don't go to the NFL doctor and go to the team doctor. Go to an independent neurologist that you and your camp find yourself, because you got bad advice going back out there against Buffalo, and I'm happy that you seem to be all right now, but just go to an independent neurologist. Don't trust the NFL doctors. Don't trust the team doctors. Go see an independent neurologist yourself, because you've had 2 concussions in 5 days. And that one last night looked pretty scary. BYU. But this is interesting too, is the whole UCF home game getting moved just with Tampa. A little surprising. It's going to be a tough turnaround. Be playing a game on Wednesday and have to turn around. And I'm sure, I haven't looked at their schedules, I'm sure either UCF or SMU's got a game that Saturday, if I'd imagine. That's tough. That's not easy. I mean, especially, let's look at it. October 5th. Okay, so they've got a week off. Okay. All right, that worked out quite nicely, actually. They both have a week off. And I guess that kind of plays into how the American Athletic Conference is, and same with the MAC, with the MACtion during the week. It's trying to play more games during the week, just to allow get more screen time, national television. They're not competing with the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC for that Saturday night game time. Instead, they go play Wednesday night, Thursday night. You get prime time, because unless you're watching Thursday night football, not a lot of other football on. And I don't get the whole hype around Aaron Judge either. Yes, I get that 61 home run, Huge milestone. I couldn't hit 61 home runs in the MLB. Big milestone for him. But, he's still 12 short of Barry Bonds. So, he's still only like 8th all-time in the home run list in a single season. Yes, I know, the American League, Yankees history, I get that. But let's not overhype it. Act like, he's breaking the record for the most home runs all time. Barry Bonds still holds that. Barry Bonds was probably juicing, but wasn't baseball more interesting when people were juicing? But other than that, kind of going down the list, seems like pretty steady. Oh, but look at this ref though. This ref is cycling. This ref is cycling. I was just talking about juicing and Barry Bonds. This ref's cycling. You don't get that big. Well, that's not a statistic I want to see them putting out there. But I'm sure NC State probably knows that. But we'll see. DJ's got to show out. And DJ's been playing his best ball. He's been playing his best ball in a Clemson uniform. But hey, that kind of wrapping up things for today, people. That's kind of all I got. As always, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Go Tigers. Stay dry, everybody. Tell somebody you love them. Deuces.